Thank you so much for joining me here. Just wanted to pick your brain about topics related to casting. I know it's for me, one of the most enjoyable parts of the ALGS experience. So for you specifically, what inspired you to get into casting?
I was a player, so I used to play Halo when I was like 13 till 24. I played throughout my career. Back then, we didn't really earn much money, but eventually a position opened. Richard Sims, who used to cast Halo, he said, "Oh, I need a color commentator, and you're a player, so would you be interested?" I was like, "I don't know really. I want to keep playing," but I was like, "All right, I'll give it a go." Gave it a go. The team was happy with how I did, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I could do a bit more of this." So I started doing more, expressed interest in other games, and it just went, really, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just kind of a right place, right time sort of thing. Where
Yeah, I think so.
It was like a dovetail into the casting part of your career. That's really awesome. Yeah, I mean, I used to be a huge Halo fan and have seen, obviously, a lot of those players kind of transition into the Apex world, which is pretty cool. So in that vein, what were like some of the highlights? You can say any combination of these or none, depending on how comfortable you are, but highlights, challenges, or like learning opportunities in your casting career?
I think highlights was, getting given the opportunity to do multiple games.
Yeah.
So I started with Halo. I then expressed interest in like Hearthstone, which is a card game, very different. Then I went into FIFA, which sports broadcasting, and I love real life sports, so that's something that I really wanted to do. And then actually FIFA being an EA title, they were like, "Oh, we have this new battle royale coming out called Apex. Would you guys, me and Onset, would you be interested in maybe working on it?" And we were both like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like we love shooters. Very Halo-esque." And I think the challenge of learning a new game time after time is definitely an exciting one.
Yeah, I would say definitely a challenge with this game. Just the broadness of the things that you could be talking about and just the things that are going on in and of itself. I mean, how do you sort of keep a level head when there's, 5 teams fighting in a ring's closing and, comps are changing and et cetera, et cetera?
I just look at Mark. I look at Mark. If I get stressed out, I just give him the eyes and I say, "Please take over." No, it's just one thing that you learn, I think, to deal with pressure. I think I've been doing this for 8 years now, and I don't get nervous anymore. I think I used to think about, there's so many people watching, and I don't want to mess up. But then you just accept that you're human. Like errors are going to happen, and if you're not thinking about making the errors, then they don't happen as often. So I think it's just staying calm. And I just love the game. I've played so much of the game that I've been in those environments. I know how stressful it is that I'm able to kind of like take myself out of it, watch from a bird's eye view, and then just analyze it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, for the rest of us, we can definitely see how that translates to the excitement in the way that you guys, and especially you cast these matches, and it definitely adds a whole other element to watching these players go at it at the highest competitive level. And speaking of the players, if you don't mind me asking, you don't have to, not to put you under the gun, but are you rooting for any teams or players specifically? Have you been excited to see some developments on the first day?
I'm interested, maybe not rooting for, but I'm interested to see how Falcons do, mainly because of the commotion that's happening between Zero and Hal.
Quite the commotion.
And me personally, as a storyteller, as a commentator, I wouldn't mind them being on different teams again, because that storyline would just, like, the way it's gone of, enemies to friends and enemies again. I don't want to say it, I don't want it to happen, but if it did happen, it could be nice. Teams I'd like to see succeed, EMEA in general, seeing the region, like Na'Vi, their performance at Worlds, if they could replicate that, I think that consistency is something that's very important in Apex for the scene, because if a random team is winning over and over again, it kind of like, oh, it's just a random BR. Like, it was nice when we had just 2 teams like kind of back and forth winning it, so I'd like to see Na'Vi do it again, I think.
Yeah, they're off to a pretty great start. They're 3rd, I think, in the rankings now. Yeah, so good looks for EMEA, but thank you again for your time. Really appreciate your comments on casting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, welcome y'all. It is day 2 of ALGS here in New Orleans. I'm here with Shook and Luna of Team TEMPR, and I'm here to talk a little bit about their experience. So let's just go around, and I'll start with Shook. What is your position on Team TEMPR?
So I am the coach for them. I handle everything between games and all of that fun stuff that goes into that, and there's quite a bit.
Wonderful. Luna, what is your position on Team TEMPR?
I'm the analyst, and I make programs basically, and right now I'm just helping out whatever way I can.
Excellent. Yeah, I love, especially being at LAN, getting a closer look at the coach and analyst roles, something that's kind of a lot more behind the scenes when you're watching it on the stream, but getting to walk around and see how they work, and obviously hearing from the analysts here on the caster couch. I don't know if they've come up with a name for it yet, but on the casting couch is super interesting to me. It's actually been a really interesting part of being at LAN. So first question for Shook. I'm curious, do you get to do a lot of coaching during games, or is it all between? How does that work?
It's all between. I can't talk during games or anything like that. But a lot of my stuff is just small adjustments, making sure they're staying on track and keeping them on pace for what we need to do.
And adjustments are definitely important given all the bans that are happening, and of course the map changes that have always been in play. So it seems like you've got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, there's
with
quite
this
a bit.
particular LAN,
Yes.
With all adjustments being the mainstay quality of the successful teams, I would say. And for Luna, what is your strategy for analysis? Are you looking more at like composition, like I mentioned with the legend bans? Are you thinking more about meta strategy, micro strategy? Like what are you looking at when you're analyzing your team?
So there's not a lot of things, but like my main focus is collecting all the data I can and just making it useful in any way possible, visualizing it pretty for people, team people.
Yeah, I mean that's a tall order given how much information is in a game competition series alone, but this game in particular has a lot of raw data, so you also have your work cut out for you. So as my followers know, I am a member of the queer community, and I wanted to take this opportunity to, especially at an esports setting, which is dominated by a very homogenous crowd usually, to highlight some folks that are in the queer community as well. So I just wanted to mention, you both kind of feel the same questions. You both, I'll start with Shook. What has your experience been as a queer person, sort of navigating your way through the gaming industry?
It's definitely been a challenging one at first, but once you kind of get a little bit more into it, a lot of people are very accepting in this community. You just kind of have to get through the loud ones at first. But once you're in and definitely comfortable, it's a really nice community to be part of.
Awesome. And Luna, how would you reflect on that question as well? What has your experience been?
Yeah, same answer. You just have to know who to avoid.
I couldn't agree with that more. The block button is super useful, so is the mute button. But I'm so glad that you both have kind of navigated and found your way in, especially with this game, given the amount of diversity that's in it, the amount of inclusivity that's in the game. I feel like it's been one of the rewarding parts about following this series, and especially even at the competitive level, is to see people who have not only survived that initial sort of discomfort, but kind of thrived, as you both have. Here you are at LAN. Wonderful representation, if you ask me. So just to get into a little bit about the specifics with TEMPR, it's been a tough day too for everybody. I was sitting on the main stage, of course rooting for y'all, but one of my teams that I was watching had a little bit of an upset, and quite a few of the top esports teams had upsets as well. So can you speak to what your thoughts are going into the Elim bracket, where you still absolutely have a chance to frag out?
I feel very confident in our team. We've changed a lot of problems that we had day one, and we're back in form, and I hope that we can finish it out and make finals.
Absolutely. And what are your thoughts from an analysis standpoint?
Well, it's more about the teams, the pro league teams that are going into Elim. I think they can just can't adjust to the worst teams of CC, and that's why they're in Elim now.
Right, now you got the big boys coming into the Elim bracket and also pushing just as hard and with a chip on their shoulder now that they have all the eyes on them in the Elim brackets. Well, I just want to say thank you both for your time. I really appreciate it, and good luck with the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Zero, for joining us. Of course, congratulations on your momentous victory with Falcons. For those of you who don't know, Zero is the IGL for Falcons, and that's going to be sort of the basis of my questions that I'm asking, because I'm pretty interested in that. So as IGL for the team, when you were going into Elim bracket, what were your main thoughts about how you were going to sort of navigate the just marathon of games that you had to play to get back into the winners bracket?
So we had like a format change the day we were meant to play, our first and second day, and we got swapped from having first and third day one playing first day 2. I think that like affected us quite a bit. But like going to LAN, we were like pretty dominant in scrims, like second or third in point average overall. And going to losers, I wasn't like ever really worried like, but a lot better than every other team there.
I was going to say, not much to worry about with Hal fragging out in terms of kills. Everybody was watching those stats pretty closely. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. In terms of how you were navigating sort of the different lobbies, how did it feel to go from sort of a lot of the bigger names in the main stage lobbies to Elim brackets? Was it sort of a change that took you guys a lot of getting used to, sort of navigating how people were playing, fighting in those Elim brackets, or what were your thoughts with that?
The only like real change that was noticeable was the round 1, which was insanely free, like 6 squads 4 with no one playing the game, to round 2, which the lobby looked like fairly similar. Like the round we didn't call looked like fairly similar, and thought it was going to be like pretty easy, but it was actually quite good quality. And then going out round 2 by 2 points, 35-point call, getting run after by this guy's team every single game, just griefing on purpose, and then they don't qual for finals. So that's kind of funny.
I'm sure it is. It's quite the turnaround.
But from then on, it was like pretty much the same. Like we were just running people, KP, pretty free.
As everybody definitely saw watching at home or watching here. And then, of course, in the winners finals, y'all were absolutely fragging out. And how did you feel, though, about, I mean, of course, this happened every day, the different format with the legend bans and obviously more maps being added. Did you see yourselves sort of predicting it after, day 1, day 2, how those bans were going to go and planning accordingly? Or was it more of a, I don't want to say in the moment, but more spontaneous decision on your part?
Well, legend bans were actually like the most interesting part of the tournament, because for months in scrims, like first there was like Maggie Ballistic meta, and then Ultra Buff came through, and the bans were pretty much the exact same 5 bans every single day in scrims. And then we dropped to the tourney, everyone was just playing the most random things ever, just like trying to run it down. We didn't have normal bans until finals. Like Newcastle was always first and second off scrims, so it changed what ulti played a lot. Like Newcastle was a character we struggled with, / a comp we struggled with. So like him getting to play crypto, he got like 3 games at least.
Yeah, and of course we saw how with a great great Rampart counter to those Newcastle walls came in clutch for a lot of those rounds. So that was definitely a good change on your part. But very fun to watch. Congratulations on your win. I'm sure some momentous celebrations ahead, but congrats overall. Good job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.